Arthur reveals his secret fling with another MAFS bride, that a Hollywood star is pursuing him, and behind-the-scenes secrets. Having copied his wedding vows from the internet and declared "I love you" within minutes, Arthur Porumba's marriage was off to a bumpy start. The cheeky antics of the London tennis coach, 35, clearly didn't impress married at first sight UK match Laura Vaughan, who grimaced immediately after he dropped the L-bomb last series. Initially, she wasn't keen on him due to him not being her normal Chelsea boy type, and while the Tottenham charmer eventually won her over, it was far from a smooth ride. Finance manager Laura was accused of treating Arthur like a child or pet, even referring to him as a puppy, and her pals were branded vile mean girls online for savaging him in one scene. The Londoner was blindsided when his wife dumped him at the vow renewal ceremony, insisting she was a fixer, but their relationship can't be fixed. Now in an exclusive chat with The Sun, Arthur reveals she hinted they would break up in a text the night before the show ended, that he had a fling with another MAFS bride and is being pursued by a Hollywood star. He also gives his take on Laura and shares behind-the-scenes secrets, including punishments for partying, the real reasons why he was absent during episodes, and the groom who's got a bit big for his boots. When I first saw Laura, I thought she looked nice, but I wasn't like, "Ma'am, I can't wait to rip her clothes off." The physical attraction wasn't there at first, Arthur tells The Sun. "I definitely fancied her more as the weeks went on, but *****King hell, that Chelsea boy nonsense followed me throughout the show and even now after MAFS. It's mad whenever I'm on the tube or bus, people yell that at me or shout 'I love you' because of the wedding vow. Oh my God, Jesus Christ, it's so embarrassing. I didn't deserve it. I took my vows from the internet, but I didn't have much time to prepare because I was moving out of my place. I literally took the first vows possible, wrote it all down, and didn't even think. The worst bit is I added the 'I love you' bit myself. It was all nonsense." Despite the humiliating blunder, Arthur says he loved every single second of the show and reveals he was approached twice before accepting. He felt it was a shame Laura didn't give their relationship a go in the real world and reveals she sent a cryptic text the night, hinting she may dump him before she ended things. "I didn't have any heads up and was a little taken aback," Arthur admits. "The night before the vow renewal, she messaged me saying, 'Whatever happens tomorrow, I want you to know I'll always try to look after both of us.' I didn't really make anything of it at the time, but looking back, it was like, oh, I see why you messaged me that the night before now. It was a bit of a shame, but I wasn't in love with her. It's not like there was a massive emotional connection between us, but we had put a lot of work into the relationship." Arthur says many MAFS fans have said the dumping made her bad, and they often pity him over her friends pulling him apart during one of the homestays. They are like, "Laura's friends were awful and horrible to you, but viewers only saw 5% of it. The edit made me look like a softie and like I didn't fight back, but I did. Nice little earner." Arthur says going on MAFS UK is a no-brainer because of the chance to find lasting love, the exposure that could earn you a fortune, and the money you receive. They give you whatever you would have been paid at work. You have to prove what you earn, so can't say you make £10,000 a week, he tells us. "My head was killing after most of the dinner parties. I reckon if I was sober, I would have been mute. I don't think I would have been as entertaining. I think they have a maximum is probably around £1,200 to £1,300 a week. It's a good deal. You're not working, getting everything paid for, and staying in a beautiful apartment." When asked if that would rule out high-earning investment bankers from the show, Arthur suspects that's the case, believing they typically like to cast self-employed people like him because it's easier. Strict curfews. In previous years, many FS stars have told us about secret cast parties, all-night benders, and daring games that led to partner swapping. Arthur says last year's season was a bit more tame due to having a strict 9 p.m. curfew, but that didn't stop excessive drinking and small acts of rebellion. "We would go out for drinks, and there were a lot of sore heads in the mornings," he tells us. One night, 3 of the girls got into trouble. They didn't get back in time, so had to talk to the executives the next day. "I remember if we missed the curfew, it would become earlier, like 7 p.m., meaning if we broke the rules, we had less time to enjoy ourselves." Worst thing, Arthur says he's learned a lot from the process, admitting he previously struggled to talk about his feelings, but says filming can be tricky. One night, 3 of the girls got into trouble. They didn't get back in time, so had to talk to the executives the next day. I remember if we missed the curfew, it would become earlier, like 7 p.m., meaning if we broke the rules, we had less time to enjoy ourselves. He explains, it gets awkward. You're sitting in a bed with a massive camera on top of you being told, guys, talk about how you feel about each other. It's not scripted like Love Island, but you are put in awkward situations, like talking about how you feel in front of 20 people in a room. They would whisper in your ear, no more for you, you're done. That didn't stop you getting drunk, though. I was smashed most of the time on the show. The hardest scenes for Arthur were the commitment ceremonies because filming spanned from 7 a.m. until midnight, which wreaked havoc with his anxiety. I have severe anxiety. I'm not able to sit still for long, so you can see my legs shaking constantly in the scenes, he tells us. You sit there for 5 or 6 hours waiting to be called up next. You just want to get it out of the way. It's the most nerve-wracking part of the show. It's the worst thing, and it's made worse by having 20 to 25 cameras there, lots of producers, directors, the experts, and then the couples too. He says there was a lot of waiting around in holding rooms during the show, which lasted for hours and hours and hours, with only unhealthy snacks on offer. There's nothing but a few chocolate biscuits. I didn't like that. Why do you think JJ Slater got bloody diabetes? Arthur quips. Mystery absences. Viewers may have noticed Arthur barely appeared in the first few weeks of the show, and now he reveals why. He says, I caught COVID. It must have been on the way back from the honeymoon. The guy who sat next to me on the airplane kept coughing nonstop. After I was in a bad way for 10 or 11 days, they just kept me in the apartment and stopped filming, which is why I didn't get as much exposure then. However, his absence at the reunion was fully self-inflicted, with castmate JJ previously revealing that Arthur was very, very ill after a boozy night out. I was wasted that night and hanging the next day, he admits. With my anxiety, there was no way I could sit still on that couch. Laura was not happy with me missing it, which is fair. On the show, he says there were booze limits and producers would approach castmates who had too much to drink to tell them they had been cut off. Arthur says, they would whisper in your ear, no more for you, you're done. That didn't stop you from getting drunk, though. I was smashed most of the time on the show. My head was killing after most of the dinner parties. I reckon if I was sober, I would have been mute. I don't think I would have been as entertaining. Secret MAFS fling. Since leading the show, Arthur has been bombarded with female attention, telling us, I've had photos of every single body part you could think of. Photo, photo, photo. But he insists he's not into flings and wants to find someone to settle down with, quipping that he doesn't want to end up like Callum Best. Arthur was linked to another MAFS star, Blackburn wedding planner Amy Kenyon, who is currently on TV screens in this year's series alongside husband Luke DeBono. He says, it was a one-night-only thing. We had been talking for a while, and then after she went quiet for 3 months. Arthur says they connected on a spiritual level and bonded over a shared love of house music. Unknown to him, when she cut contact, she was filming MAFS. I didn't have a clue she was going on the show. She didn't say, and we didn't talk about MAFS, which was one of the things I liked about her. 15,000 pounds freebies. Despite not finding love, Arthur says he has no regrets about going on the show because it's led to interest from scores of women, celebrity encounters, and thousands of pounds worth of freebies. It hasn't made me a millionaire. I never thought it would. The main reason I went on the show was to find love. Exposure was second, he tells us. Arthur's just returned from a free cruise worth 3,000 pounds and is due to head to Dubai for an all-expenses-paid trip with a roster of famous faces for charity football event Celebrity Soccer. It has allowed him to meet stars including his favorite actor, Stephen Graham, Harry Redknapp, Callum Best, Gary Lucy, and Danny Dyer. He tells us, with Danny Dyer, what you see on screen is what you get with him. I'll tell you what he does that's funny. Every 25 minutes he smokes. He has a cigarette, even while playing football. It's the first thing he does in the breaks, and then he's back on the pitch. I don't know how he does it. I would not be able to run around after that. He's also been on a couple of boozy nights out with former EastEnders star Dean Gaffney, who he says gets recognized left, right, and center. Arthur adds, this guy loves a female. He loves it. He's got good chat as well. He stayed close with some MAFS pals, including Ella Morgan, who recently appeared on Celebs Go Dating, whom he says is smashing it. Arthur is also in touch with co-stars George Bird, Thomas Crayeras, Terrence Edwards, and JJ Slater, who is dating Katie Price. He quips, now JJ's with Katie Price, He thinks he's the biggest thing going. When I met KT at a boxing event, she was all over the place, but she clearly loves the attention. Now more than a year on from his appearance on MAFS, Arthur says he and Laura only occasionally exchange messages, but it's nice seeing her when they do catch up. He tells us he's considering launching an OnlyFans page because it makes big money and he wouldn't rule out appearing on future reality shows. He adds, "I loved every single second of it. The team treats you well, you get paid, you're off work for 3 months, and you get a bit of exposure too. What could go wrong?" A Channel 4 spokesperson told The Sun. Contributors do not get paid to appear on Married at First Sight, but are provided with financial compensation for loss of earnings due to the time taken for filming.